and find a guy if she really wants love. If she wants to find a man, she's going to have to ditch those bitches.
It began with a soft shot, birds singing over the desolate expanse of Coyote Pass. The camera moved steadily, not to the open land once a symbol of hope, but to an empty seat at the family table, an empty seat that once held Janelle. But the restlessness wasn't only in the quiet, it was in the look of every wife present. Christine serene but resolute, Mary inscrutable, Robin abnormally agitated, and Kody for the first time in years, the patriarch wasn't talking first. The 2025 season began not with the usual arguing or land squabbles, but with absence, a pronounced quiet. Janelle wasn't only absent from conversation, she was absent from the family altogether, and that was just the first shot. Cameras switched to Kody, driving solo down through Flagstaff, muttering to himself. "They never got the vision," he growled. "It was always me holding it together." His voice broke, the customary bluster, abandoned. Then, cut to black. We hear only one thing, the ring of Christine's voice in a courtroom deposition. "I kept quiet for too long," she said. But what he did to Janelle shattered something in all of us. That is when the screen blinks. Sister Wives Faye Season 2025, The Breaking Point and Voyle Faye. The bomb was planted. But what was the breaking point? Why is Janelle just vanished? No calls, no texts, no confessionals. And what did Christine mean saying what he did? Hold on tight, because the next twist of this puzzle makes this family situation a courtroom thriller that even Robin could not cry her way out of. The next bombshell drops at a stunning court hearing where Robin goes head to head with Mary, and what is revealed on the witness stand sends gasps through the courtroom. As the screen goes black and comes back in, the audience is immediately dropped into a place nobody anticipated a TLC family show would be: a courtroom, not a shrink's office, not a family huddle on the porch, but a formal, chilly, echoing courtroom. The judge, a sharp-tongued woman in her 60s, with a demeanor as tough as rawhide, sifts through a thick pile of documents, each bearing the stamp custody hearing face date of Arizona. But this isn't about children. Not exactly. Anyway, this is about ownership, control, and betrayal. The plaintiff, Janelle, her non-appearance for the couch interviews wasn't a disappearance. It was a plan. She'd been working with a team of lawyers, constructing a case piece by piece. The charge: financial fraud, secret accounts, abuse of family money, and credibility. Shockingly, the illegal transfer of land rights at Coyote Pass. And the defendant, Kody Brown, with Robin nervously seated beside him. The crowd gasped as the courtroom sketch artist unveiled a drawing that would instantly trend on the internet. Kody, gritting his teeth, his trademark lion's mane slicked back with anxiety sweat. Robin shaking visibly. Christine occupied the back row, arms folded. She had reconciled. But she was there in solidarity. Mary was remarkably absent. And then, the biggest surprise of all, the judge gazed down at the documents, then at Kody. "Mr. Brown, we have a problem, and your name is all over it." That is when Kody lost it. He hit his hands on the table. "She is staging this entire thing," he yelled, pointing at Christine. "You see, she poisoned Janelle. This isn't her. This is Christine's revenge." Gasps spread through the courtroom. Christine blinked once, leaned forward a little, and smiled. It wasn't revenge. It was revelation. And the proof was on the way. On a hard drive that had been stashed in Janelle's lawyer's briefcase since day one. What is on the drive? Who taped Kody without telling him? And how did it end up with Janelle? The next courtroom replay tilts everything. The courtroom fell silent as the lawyer in charge of Janelle's case, a measured and serene woman named Dana Keller, rose and unzipped her briefcase. Inside, She pulled out a small silver external hard drive, a drive that would quickly become the most discussed item in Sister Wives history. She gave it to the courtroom technician, who inserted it into the media dock. Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat, already bristling. Objection. His attorney barked, "We haven't reviewed this evidence. This is a blindside." But the judge didn't blink. "Then you'll get to see it for the first time, just like the rest of us," she said, her voice icy and deliberate. The screen flickered on. A video began playing, time-stamped, dated, clear audio. It was a private conversation. In Kody and Robin's living room. No cameras, no producers. Just Kody, unfiltered. "I don't care what the others have to say." His voice thundered over the courtroom speakers. "If I need to bend the paperwork to keep the land in our name, I will. Coyote Pass was never about the family. It is our future. Me and Robin's, the rest of them can look out for themselves." Robin could be glimpsed in the background of the footage, nodding, laughing. Even she raised a wine glass and said, "Let them fight over the scraps." The courtroom gasped. The footage didn't stop there. Another clip, Kody on the phone. "I'll say Christine manipulated me if it keeps the heat off. Let's make this look like emotional duress." Jaws dropped. Even the stenographer paused for a moment. Christine sat back in her seat. Unfazed, she'd known, so had Janelle. But this was now evidence. Kody's attorney requested a recess. The judge refused. "You brought a reality show to court," she growled. "Now we all get to watch it." But who taped that footage, and why? The answer leads to a betrayal Kody never expected, and it wasn't from a wife. It was from within his entourage. The courtroom had hardly taken a breath from the thunderous blow of the secret recording. Kody sat rigid, face ashy, jaw set, his hands clenching the wooden table in front of him, like it was the only thing holding him to the real world. But while the video shook the courtroom, it was where the recording came from that shook things even deeper. Dana Keller, Janelle's lawyer, advanced again, her tone even and unshakable. "On the record, this evidence was anonymously submitted, but law enforcement has since confirmed its source." She hesitated. "From a home security system that was installed within the Brown family home," murmurs erupted. Judge Hastings' eyes grew narrow. "Which home?" Keller slowly turned toward Kody. Her eyes locked on his, Robin's. The courtroom considered Robin, who appeared even more shaken than initially. Her mascara had already started to run, but now she shook. "I what?" she breathed. But Keller wasn't finished. "The video wasn't downloaded by Robin," she explained. "It was sent by Aurora." The room erupted with gasps. Aurora. Robin's daughter, the quiet one, the loyal one, the one Kody never thought would betray him. Why would she do that? Robin spoke out loud, her eyes wide, as much attempting to be convinced as anyone else that it couldn't possibly be true. Dana's voice, sharp as knives, sliced through the din, because even she realized what the world was coming to realize, that Kody Brown was no longer a man doing what he had to do to safeguard his family, but a man manipulating them to safeguard himself. Christine leaned forward a little, witnessing Robin crack in real time. Janelle did not smirk. She did not blink. She simply whispered to her lawyer, "It is all falling apart." And it was, piece by piece. But the video was just the tip of the iceberg. Then came testimony from someone no one anticipated appearing in court, someone whose devotion to Kody had been absolute. Until now, the courtroom doors groaned open once more. Everyone looked. Mary Brown, she entered slowly but purposefully, her heels clicking on the floor in a slow drum roll. No hesitation, no awkwardness, only a tempest brewing behind her eyes. Kody's jaw dropped a fraction of an inch, as if he was witnessing a ghost he wasn't ready to face. Even Robin gasped, gripping her chest. Judge Hastings raised an eyebrow. "Miss Brown, are you here to witness or to testify?" Mary didn't blink. "To testify." Kody sat bolt upright. "Objection," he growled. But the judge beat him to it. "Overruled." Keller motioned to Mary. "Please rise to the stand." As Mary eased into the witness chair, the courtroom grew silent. The woman who had never spoken during scandal, betrayal, catfishing tabloids, heartbreak, exile, and public heartbreak was now going to tell her story, and when she did, she incinerated the silence to ashes. "I remained silent for far too long," she started, voice low but cutting. "But seeing Kody these past few years, the way he manipulated truth, the way he weaponized the word family, I can't act like I didn't notice." Kody's face reddened. "You are just bitter." Mary's gaze shot to his. "I was faithful." Then she turned to the judge. "I was in the house when he began whispering plans. I overheard him tell us Coyote Pass would never be divided equally. He wanted it all in Robin's name. He said." She choked. "The others will get over it, they always do." Gasp. Christine was gobsmacked. Janelle composed, almost relieved. Robin. She shook her head slowly, in disbelief. Judge Hastings leaned forward, now completely invested. "Do you have any evidence of this, Miss Brown?" Mary didn't blink. She produced a beat-up notebook. "I wrote it all down. Undefined Becca's one day. No one would believe me unless I had this." Dana Keller came over, taking the book as if it were evidence of a crime scene. Undefined, she flipped to a marked page. Undefined, Judge Hastings read it, and her face grew darkened. "Exprange file it with the court," the judge told her. Kody looked like he'd been hit by a truck. And if Mary's journal cracked the foundation, what happened next shattered it. Because Christine had been holding something too. Not just words, not just stories, but an original signed contract Kody thought was long gone. For years, Christine had been labeled the emotional one, the wife who walked away, the one Kody said gave up too early. But as she slowly reached into her sleek black purse and retrieved a crisp, laminated document, all those narratives crumbled. She stood up, not asked, not prompted, but with a quiet authority that even the bailiff didn't question. "Your Honor," she said clearly, walking to Dana Keller's desk, "I think you'll want to see this." Keller, curious but cautious, took the paper and unfolded it. Her eyes widened almost instantly. "Is this the original allocation contract for the Coyote Pass distribution?" she asked. Christine nodded. "Signed by all the wives and Kody 3 years ago before he conveniently lost it." Kody leapt up from his seat. "That contract was invalidated. We had a family meeting." But Judge Hastings raised a hand. "Sit down, Mr. Brown." Kody stood frozen. The judge looked at the document, then at Kody. "Your signature is here. This appears to be legally binding." Keller stepped forward. "Your Honor, this document clearly shows that Kody agreed to divide Coyote Pass evenly, not just in land, but in future earnings from any sale. Robin's name isn't even listed on the ownership distribution." A gasp rippled through the room. Robin's face fell. Her lips parted, but no words came. The tension in the room felt nuclear. Christine remained standing, facing Kody. "You called me disloyal. You told the cameras I gave up. But I kept this because I knew you'd try to rewrite history, just like you did with Mary, just like you did with Janelle." Kody turned to the judge. Desperate, she stole that document. But the judge was already flipping through pages, unmoved. "This isn't theft. This is protection." Robin looked at Christine now, not with anger, but with something close to fear. Keller, sensing the room shifting, pressed further. With this document and Mari's journal, we have a clear trail of intent, Your Honor, and intent is what this case is about. Christine walked back to her seat slowly, not triumphant, but unburdened. And Kody, he finally sat down. But as everyone processed Christine's bombshell, the courtroom doors opened one more time, and the person walking in wasn't a Brown at all, but they held a voice recording device that would flip everything upside down. The courtroom fell into stunned silence as the doors creaked open. A woman in her mid-30s, smartly dressed and clutching a black recording device in one hand and a legal folder in the other, walked in confidently. She wasn't part of the Brown family. She wasn't a fan. She wasn't a distant cousin brought in for a reality television shocker. She was Kody's former assistant. The judge raised an eyebrow. And you are? Melanie Torres, Your Honor. I worked directly for Mr. Brown from 2019 to 2021. I have evidence that wasn't submitted earlier. But after watching this trial unfold, I believe it's time to speak up. Robin looked like she'd seen a ghost. Kody shifted in his seat, visibly sweating. Christine looked calm, almost eerily so. Melanie stepped forward and handed the recorder to Dana Keller, the family's attorney. What you're about to hear is a private recording. It took place at the Coyote Pass property office in Flagstaff. Kody was unaware the conversation was being saved. The courtroom leaned in. You could hear the collective heartbeat rising. With the judge's nod, Keller pressed play. Kody's voice crackled through the courtroom speaker. Look, I don't care what I promised them back then. Robin deserves it all. She's the only one who actually listens. Christine, Janelle, they were always in the way. I'll find a legal way to cut them out. I'll make it look like it's their fault. Easy. Gasps filled the room. The judge's mouth tightened. Robin buried her face in her hands. And Mary? The voice continued on the tape. She'll cling to anything. She doesn't even know what she owns anymore. This land is mine. One way or another, I'll make sure of it. Silence. Melanie stood tall, her voice unwavering. He asked me to destroy this file. I never did. Keller looked to the judge. This recording confirms premeditated fraud. Your Honor, Kody Brown intentionally planned to cut his wives out of their legally entitled shares, while pretending to be confused and overwhelmed. The gavel slammed once. Sharper this time, the judge looked directly at Kody. I want everyone out of this courtroom, she said, except Mr. Brown, his counsel, and this witness. Everyone was ordered to leave. But what Kody confessed behind closed doors next would be leaked and would make headlines the next morning. As the heavy oak doors closed behind the spectators, sealing the courtroom into tense silence, the atmosphere shifted from dramatic to deadly serious. Kody Brown sat rigid in his chair, no longer puffing with arrogance. His shoulders were hunched, his hands folded tightly, and for the first time in the entire proceedings, his eyes darted nervously. Not to Robin, not to his attorney, but to the judge's face. Judge Rowan removed her glasses, placed them gently on the bench, and leaned forward. Mr. Brown, she said, her voice even and quiet. You are not a man unfamiliar with manipulation. You've managed your image, your wives, and your finances in ways that served your best interests. But this. She nodded to the still-playing recorder, now paused mid-sentence. This is no longer about reality television. This is real. And you are now very close to a formal charge of premeditated civil fraud. Kody's lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Kody shook his head, then slowly. He stood up. His voice was scratchy but audible. I never meant for it to go this far. The judge raised a brow. Go on, Kody inhaled sharply. I was trying to protect the family. I was the one who had to keep it all together. The show, the land, the debts, the drama, it all fell on me. Dana Keller shot him a glare. And lying to your wives, Robin, pretending not to know, dismissing Christine's years of work on the land? Kody flinched. I was angry, he said. Christine walked out. Janelle challenged me. Mary turned cold. Robin was the only one who stayed loyal. And so your solution, the judge snapped, was to cut the rest of them out financially, rewrite the truth behind their backs. Silence. Kody didn't respond. Then, from the witness stand, Melanie added one more bombshell. There's something else? She said quietly. Kody moved funds, close to $250,000, from the joint Coyote Pass account to a private account under Robin's name. He told me it was for estate restructuring, but the money never went to the land. It went to furnish their mansion. The courtroom, even with its cleared gallery, seemed to echo with the impact of that statement. Keller stood. Your Honor, we demand a full forensic audit of all Brown family accounts. The judge didn't hesitate, approved. But just as everyone thought the drama had peaked, the judge made a move no one saw coming. She subpoenaed Robin next, and this time, Robin couldn't hide behind tears when the judge called Robin Brown to the stand. The room held its collective breath. She hesitated, clutching her purse a little tighter, her eyes glossing with tears before she even reached the witness chair. But this time, those tears weren't working. The judge was unshaken. You've been accused of knowingly benefiting from funds transferred under false pretenses. I'll remind you, you're under oath, Judge Rowan said, voice cold enough to freeze a desert. Robin sat down slowly, smoothing her skirt. She glanced toward Kody, but he wasn't looking at her anymore. His gaze was fixed firmly on the table in front of him. I didn't know everything, Robin began, her voice wavering. Kody said the land situation was being handled legally. He told me the money was coming from a settlement, not the family account. Janelle, sitting nearby with arms crossed, leaned forward. That's not what you told me at Thanksgiving, Robin. You said the land was finally ours because the others had given up. Robin's composure cracked. I thought I was protecting our family, she said. The judge raised a brow. Define our family. You've used that phrase a lot today. Robin hesitated. I meant Kody, the kids, the ones still close. Christine's lawyer stood up, holding a stack of bank statements. Then why did you authorize renovations on the Flagstaff house with funds that were from a trust account jointly held by all 4 original wives? The tension shot through the room like a thunderclap. Robin looked confused, then rattled. I didn't authorize that. Kody took care of those things. But the authorization has your signature, the lawyer snapped, holding up a document and slamming it down on the evidence table. Robin stared at it. The silence dragged. The judge finally broke it. Mrs. Brown, do you want to revise your statement before we consider further legal action? Her lips parted, trembling. And then, finally, she said it. I trusted him too much. I didn't ask questions I should have. It was the first moment of real clarity the court had seen from her. And for the first time in the proceedings, Robin Brown looked genuinely alone. But as Robin finished speaking, Janelle's lawyer reached into her folder and pulled out one final envelope, a sealed document that even Kody hadn't seen coming. The final moment came not with screaming, but with silence. Janelle's lawyer stood slowly, walked to the evidence table, and carefully laid down a single sealed envelope. It had one name on it, to be opened in court only. Kody's brow furrowed. Robin shifted uncomfortably. Even Christine seemed confused. Judge Rowan opened the envelope and silently skimmed the pages. After a moment, his expression changed from weary neutrality to quiet astonishment. He set the paper down with both hands and looked Kody square in the eye. This, he said slowly, is the deposition from your former financial advisor, the one who helped set up the family trust, the same one who handled your joint investments before you asked him to erase certain accounts. Gasps erupted in the courtroom. Kody visibly recoiled. He wasn't supposed, he told me he was retired. The judge ignored the outburst. According to this sworn statement, Mr. Brown, you funneled over $340,000 from the Coyote Pass Community Fund into personal real estate projects under shell companies managed solely by you and Robin. Kody's face turned ghost white. Janelle looked as if the weight of the last 10 years had just lifted off her shoulders. Christine didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She simply nodded once, like someone watching long-awaited justice finally arrive. Judge Rowan continued, as of this moment, the court is ordering a full freeze of all shared assets pending criminal investigation. Furthermore, the request to void your legal claim on the Coyote Pass property has been approved. He paused. You no longer hold any rights to the land. Kody's mouth opened, but no words came out. Robin leaned into him, whispering furiously, but he didn't respond. He just stared at the judge. A man who had once controlled everything, now left with nothing. And then, in one final blow, the judge added, as for the show's continuation, this courtroom will not be a circus. But I strongly advise the production team to reconsider the narrative they've been fed. Because what's happening here isn't a story, it's a reckoning. The gavel slammed down. The courtroom erupted, not in cheers, but in a tidal wave of release. And in that moment, with the cameras rolling and the legacy of a decades-long experiment in plural marriage unraveling, the season didn't just begin, it ignited. A season no one saw coming. A twist that rewrote everything. No one expected this. Not the viewers, not the courtroom attendees, not even the loyal family followers who had tracked every twist in the Brown family saga, and certainly not Christine. As the judge shuffled some papers and prepared to close the hearing for the day, Kody Brown stood up again. This time without permission. I have something to clarify, he announced, his voice trembling, not from fear, but from something else entirely, anticipation. The judge raised a brow. You may speak briefly, Mr. Brown. The room held its collective breath. Kody looked directly at Christine, then at Robin. There's someone else. I was going to wait until the cameras rolled. But maybe it's better this courtroom hears it first. Christine tensed. Janelle whispered something under her breath. Robin's hand flew to her mouth. Kody continued. Her name is Amara, and she's joining the family. Gasps echoed around the courtroom. Even the court reporter paused mid-keystroke. A fifth wife, in the middle of the courtroom, announced like a publicity stunt. Christine stood slowly. So that's what this was about. Her voice didn't shake, it burned. This entire season, this entire fight, the lawsuits, the financial betrayal, the tears, the land disputes, all of it, just a distraction so you could parade in a new woman. The judge slammed the gavel once. Order. But the room was long past order. Kody tried to justify it. This wasn't meant to hurt anyone. Amara understands me in a way I haven't felt in years. Christine cut him off. You don't get to talk about understanding after what you put us through. You don't get to preach love when your version of it destroyed every woman in this family. Robin was now sobbing uncontrollably. Even Mary, sitting at the back of the courtroom, couldn't hide her stunned expression. And then the twist grew sharper. Christine leaned in. Then I'll say it now. You've opened the door, and so will I. The judge looked curious. Go on. Christine pulled out a manila envelope from her purse. She had come prepared, just in case. Let's talk about the non-disclosure agreement Kody made us sign before we filmed season 17.